Everyone knows Bastogne, everyone knows Band of Brothers, but almost no one knows this crossroads. Yet in December 1944, right on this unremarkable stretch of asphalt, the fate of Hitler's last offensive was decided. If this crossroads falls, the way to Antwerp is clear. This is the story of Manhay, the eye of the needle to freedom. Manhay, a tiny village in the Belgian Ardennes. No fortress, no city, no famous name like Bastogne. And yet, it was right here, in December 1944, that it was decided whether Hitler's last offensive in the West truly had a chance. Today, I'll show you why an unremarkable crossroads became a trap for the 2nd SS-Panzerdivision. This is the story of Manhay, the crossroads to freedom or to ruin. So why Manhay? It's simple. Manhay was a crossroads. The German command knew if the tanks broke through here, there would be no continuous front line behind it, only open country. The path would have been clear to Liège, to the fuel depots, and onward to the main strategic objective, the port of Antwerp. Manhay wasn't a target because of its size, it was a target because of its location. The date is December 16th, 1944. The Ardennes offensive begins. Surprise, bad weather, thin US lines. The German plan seems to be working. Especially dangerous, the combat groups of the 2nd SS Panzerdivision, das Reich. Their mission is simple: speed, speed. No long battles. Secure the roads, take the crossroads, keep rolling. Speed. The advance is chaotic but lethally effective. The Americans are falling back, and it's right here that Manhay appears on the map. Roads converge here. Whoever holds Manhay controls the access to the north. For the Americans, it's a bottleneck. The last chance to block the advance head-on. The US Army throws in everything it has, elements of the 82nd Airborne Division and the 7th Armored Division. No perfect preparation, no clean plan, just one command: hold, 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 and do it at any cost. On December 23rd, the Germans reach the town. Tanks rolled through the streets, Manhay falls briefly. But then the Americans strike back. What follows is a total nightmare. Close quarters combat in snow and darkness. Tanks firing at a distance of just a few meters. There's no front line anymore, just burning vehicles, cellars and street corners. As one US soldier later put it, we didn't know what day it was. All we knew was that if the tanks broke through here, the road to Antwerp would be open. On December 24th and 25th, on Christmas, the Americans succeeded in finally retaking Manhay. The Germans were running out of fuel, the situation in the air was turning. With the loss of this crossroads, the offensive had strategically failed. Antwerp remained out of reach. Manhay may not have been a great battle on paper, but it was here that a dangerous offensive turned into a desperate retreat. The crossroads to freedom was held. Not because of grand tactics, but because men stood there in the snow and simply refused to yield. When you see all this massive expenditure of men and material, the reality hits even harder. On paper, it was a bold plan, but out here, it had strategically failed. The objective remains unattainable. Welcome back to the Ardennes. We are here in Manhay, Grand Mesnil, one of the most critical junctions of the entire Ardennes offensive. This is precisely where the 2nd SS Panzerdivision wanted to break through, and it was precisely here that they were stopped. What you see around me is Manhay 44. We're taking you to what is likely the most authentic depiction of this battle. We'll show you the original tanks, the equipment, the atmosphere of that time, as close to reality as possible. But one question remains open. When we look at the position of the tanks today, are they really where they fought in 1944? Or is this all just for show? Let's find out. Take a look at this terrain. Open fields, dense forests, and right in the middle, the crossroads of Manhay. Whoever controls this crossroads controls the path to the north. On one side, the 2nd SS-Panzerdivision. Elite units, battle-hardened but exhausted. They know this is their last chance. They have to break through. On the other side, the Americans, the 3rd Spearhead Armored Division. Their mission is simple. Hold the line at all costs. Hold at all costs. It's Christmas 44 and all hell is about to break loose. December 24th, 1944. Christmas Eve. The Ardennes. While millions of candles are being lit across Europe over the forests of Manhay and Grand Mesnil, there is only cold, fog, and the rumbling of engines. It's early morning before true daylight. The temperatures are far below zero. Snow muffles every sound. And that is precisely what makes this moment so dangerous. From the east, units of the 2nd SS-Panzerdivision, Das Reich, are rolling in. Their objective is clear: Manhay. This unassuming crossroads which will decide the next advance. Whoever holds it controls the roads toward Liège, Bastogne, and the Meuse. And the enemy is already waiting there. The 7th Armored Division of the US Army has taken its position. Not a perfectly established defense, but improvised barriers, tanks in cover, infantry in the snow. Both sides know that if it breaks here, the entire front will break. The German deployment begins on the night of the 24th. December. Tanks are gathering in forests. Engines run only briefly, commands are whispered. The attack is planned for dawn, precisely when visibility and orientation are at their worst. And then it begins. Not with a single big blow, but with sudden contacts, bursts of fire, tank movements in the fog. The first shots are fired as the light slowly blows through the clouds. American units recognize this is not a late print, this is a real attempted to penetrate. What follows is not a clean joke. No, it's a chaotic ring around villages, roads, and individual intersections. Tanks advance, are stopped, retreat, and attack again. Houses change hands several times in a single day. And all of this happens on Christmas Eve of all days. These hours between dawn and darkness on the 24th. December 1944 made Manhay one of the decisive points of the Earth Offensive. Not because of the size, not because of the houses, but because of this one truth. This was where it was decided whether the German advance would continue or come to a final halt. And it is precisely at this moment that the situation changes. For with the first light of day, movement turns into combat. The first German tanks emerge from the fog, not all at once, not in a grand attack, but piecemeal, across icy roads and forest clearings. Grenadiers lead the way, followed closely by tanks. Every meter of ground is explored by touch. Every shadow can be an American position. The 7th Armored Division reacts immediately. Sherman tanks fire from prepared positions, then disappear again behind houses and hedges. The infantry open fire at close range. Tank hunters wait on bends in the road where the snow obscures visibility and makes distances deceptive. The first goal goes in. An American tank burns black smoke and rises into the gray sky. Seconds later, a grenade hits a house. Walls collapse, debris covers the street. The battle has begun, but there is no clear front line. What follows is a fragmented, chaotic exchange. German units advance, are stopped. American troops withdraw, attack again, and lose individual farms. They take back radio links, orders are broken, and orders come late or not at all. The situation in Grand Mesnil is escalating. German tanks break through positions. Infantry enters the village. Houses are being taken over room by room. American soldiers are fighting from basements, windows, streets, ditches. The same street owners change several times within a few hours. Time and again, the focus shifts to Manhay. The intersection is the real objective. Every American act of resistance is an attempt to prevent exactly that. It's not about terrain, not about houses, it's about time. Artillery pounds the German routes of advance. Tanks are forced to turn back, to evade, to find new paths. The snow is churned up, littered with craters, wreckage and equipment. By the afternoon, it's clear the rapid breakthrough has failed. The Germans fight on, committing new forces, but fuel shortages, losses, and the confusing terrain take their toll. The Americans hold, often on the brink of exhaustion, but they hold. As darkness falls over the Ardennes, the battle doesn't end. It freezes in place. Small skirmishes continue late into the night. The wounded lie in the snow. Medics work under fire. For the men on both sides, Christmas Eve has long lost its meaning. But strategically, something decisive has happened. Manhay holds. And with every passing hour, the German advance loses its momentum. December 24th, 1944, does not end with a clear victor. As darkness descends upon Manhay and Grandmesnil, both sides withdraw to hastily secured positions. Tanks stand motionless in the snow. The engines have fallen silent. Ammunition is counted. The wounded are tended to. Units are reorganized. The first day of fighting has left its mark. On both sides there are dead, wounded and missing. Several tanks are destroyed or left combat ineffective. Wreckage litters the roads and villages. Exact figures for this single day are nearly impossible to separate. But one thing is clear, the price is high. The German breakthrough, which the attack had counted on, failed to materialize. But for the American units, the battle is not yet decided. Manhay holds, but only through immense effort. In the hours that follow, the focus shifts. The US Army brings reinforcements to the front, stabilizing its lines. On the German side, the problems mount: losses, fuel shortages, and a lack of time. The rapid advance that was meant to open the way west is losing its strength. Today this place seems quiet. The roads are clear, the forests are calm, the intersection unremarkable. But in the winter of 1944, Manhay was a bottleneck, a point that decided how far an attack could still push forward and where it would come to a halt. Not through a single blow, not through a great victory, but through many hours of hard fighting on a single day in an unremarkable place in the middle of the Ardennes. Not through a single blow, not through a great victory, but through many hours of hard fighting on a single day in an unremarkable place in the middle of the Ardennes. The first day ends without a clear victor, but it marks a turning point. Manhay was not a big name, but it was a decisive place. After December 24th, 1944, one thing is clear. The planned rapid breakthrough of the German offensive has failed in this sector of the front. In the following days, especially on December 25th and 26th, American units systematically reinforced their positions around Manhay. Fresh forces are brought in, defensive lines are stabilized, and limited countermeasures are prepared. The crossroads remains contested, but the German units' room for maneuver shrinks noticeably. On the German side, the problems intensify, losses can only be partially replaced, the fuel shortage and increasing Allied resistance act as a brake. Every further advance requires immense effort, without yielding any decisive territorial gain. On December 26th, American forces finally succeed in retaking Manhay and securing it permanently. With that, the last realistic opportunity to push further west in this section of the Ardennes is lost. The German attack comes to a standstill here. The initiative now gradually begins to shift to the Allies. What was planned as a bold advance is increasingly pushed back in the following days, not by a single blow, but by the growing pressure along the entire front.
I'm telling you, it's the idler wheel. Look at the tension on that track. Could be. Either way, it's not going anywhere tonight. Alright folks, as we just saw, this is the reenactment field. It's based on the actual site of the Battle of Manhay back then. So, soldiers also died here. There are also old pictures where you can see destroyed tank wrecks, half-tracks, Shermans on their sides, and now it gets interesting. We spotted this yesterday. There are still some old houses here, and now we're going to show you some battle scars, my friends. Hey, this building behind the big tree, right? Here the Americans came from there back then. The Germans dug in here, including in the houses. And that building behind the tents, the extension, we're going to take a look at that right now. The Americans came from there. The Germans were barricaded here, including in the buildings. And now come with me. Here we can still see battle scars on the old facade. Here, there. These are all old battle scars. Among other things also here, right? Scattered. Here we can see it. There, up there, all over here.
So cool, man.
Very interesting. One of the few buildings where you can still see it here in Manhay. So here you can now see an M10 tank destroyer, an American tank destroyer. Its main armament is a 76.2mm cannon. It's also equipped with a 50 caliber Browning MG, but you can't see it right now. Normally, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's mounted up on the open turret. That's also a feature of this tank destroyer. It has an open turret. And most importantly, I'll just go over here, the sloped side plate armor right here. As you can hear, hardly any armor down here, typical for tank destroyers except for the Jagdtiger. Actually, many tank destroyers were lightly armored. And this one, among others, down here as well. Jörg asked me to introduce myself here, right in front of the famous, perhaps even the most famous and well-known tank monument located in the Ardennes region. Specifically, you can see a Panther Ausf G here, which was left behind by the 2nd SS-Panzerdivision das Reich. It was left behind, unable to fight. Either a shaped charge, or I don't know. We definitely have a hit here. And the turret wall is cracked on the other side. Maybe ammunition, stored ammunition, detonated, and then the turret might have cracked. You can see that well here, an impact, right? Yes, right. The Panther's ammunition was stored here, behind the armor. And here you can see that it has a crack. And that's not rust or whatever blooming, but we have a few centimeters of armor here, right? That can only have been sheer force. An clear indication that the tank is still in the place where it was left back in 1944 can be seen here. The old tree stumps to the left and right of the tank. We'll just show a picture of the tank wreck back then and today. Then you'll have clear proof that the tank has barely moved at all, except for the orientation of the turret. Yes, but now first a word about me. I'm Nick. I also have an Instagram and TikTok account, which is nb.w2model. I specialize in plastic model kits, and I build them to be quite realistic. I also build beautiful dioramas. If you're interested, you're welcome to check it out. So folks, let's have fun together and watch this great video.
I haven't even said we've actually become really good friends, even though this is only the second time we've seen each other. By the way, he's the one who brought me this beautiful diorama. It's just incredible. Thank you again, my friend.
And Jörg is exactly the same in real life as in the videos. Lawrence is from America. Ask him to explain who is Conrad. Who is Conrad?
Who is Conrad?
Okay, Lawrence will explain who is Conrad. Who was Conrad?
Okay, thank you so much.
Veteran of the 116th Panzerdivision.
Yeah.
So he was a driver in a Panzer Mark IV.
Yeah.
He was in Normandy.
No, we're friends.
He returned to Normandy several years ago before he died.
Yeah.
And so the Somme had their Panther and their Mark IV there.
Yeah.
And they got him into the vehicle and he got down in the driver's position. And when he came out, thousands of people watching this applauded him.
Really?
Amazing for being in France and they're going to Normandy. Yeah, applauding a German is back. But it's very moving for him.
Yeah.
There's a book about him that a German wrote, his story.
Yeah.
But then just a nice, really wonderful man to meet. He signed this vehicle.
Yeah.
What's sad is he passed away.
Okay.
They're almost all gone. Yeah, all the way around both.
Could you please show them, for everyone watching, the name?
This is the original sign, the very one that he created and gave from him.
Okay. Dear friends, this is the original, authentic, handwritten signature from the individual known as Konrad Scheucher.
Scheucher?
Scheucher, 116th Panzerdivision, 16th Regiment. And you just heard the story behind it. And truly it is incredible and unbelievable.
Full throttle.
Full throttle. It had good suspension, right?
It had really good suspension. That was a lot of fun.
Alright folks, the first Wheels and Tracks flyers are being handed out. So, Wheels and Tracks, I was there for the first time this year. It's actually been around for longer, but it was paused during Corona. And you have to imagine Wehrmacht vehicles, Allied vehicles in Germany. And not just 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5, but 150 vehicles were there. And you get to ride in them. Of course, with that in mind, I'll be there too. If you come up to me, I'll organize a ride for you, promise. That's wonderful. Okay, alright. Thank you, okay? Take care, my friend. Ciao, bye. Alright, folks, so Wheels and Tracks 2026, August 8th and 9th. I can only recommend it. Wheels and Tracks, Living Legends.
I used to do reenacting, but that has been at least 10 years ago. This is the first time I'm in a uniform. But yeah, I'm a collector mostly. I've got a Jeep, I've got a BMW with sidecars, stuff like that. This for me is a great weekend to get away with my friends, so yeah.
And you have an online shop?
Yes, Rocksteady Militaria.
Rocksteady Militaria. Okay, perfect. Folks. Robert? Alright folks, we're heading off-road with the Steyr. This is just incredible.
Full throttle.
Full throttle.
Four-wheel drive, of course.
Of course, four-wheel drive. Woohoo. That's amazing. That is awesome. Yeah, of course. Hold on tight. Hold on tight. Folks. This is so awesome, man. This thing is 80 years old. And it's an original, and they're not taking it easy, folks, as always. Look at how hard he has to work. Folks, this never gets old. Seriously, it never gets old.
Should we take it out of the Schlamm?
The mud? I have to admit that ride in the Steyr just now, that's the moment when the heart of every tech enthusiast beats faster. To feel the engineering of that era, it's fascinating and simply brings me joy. But when we see this uniform, we also carry a responsibility within us. To never forget the why. The fun of the ride and the remembrance of the victims we saw in the main film both are part of reenactment. It's a fine line, but that's exactly the one we want to walk to keep history honest and alive. I hope we were able to show you this balancing act today. Thank you for joining us on this emotional journey. If you want to support this path of remembrance, subscribe to my channel, activate the bell, and share the video. Come here to the Ardennes next year and to Wheels in Tracks 2026. Take care of yourselves, your Relics of the Past team.